Our church is having families together and following God. And in those moments, that's when you pray to God saying, hey God, like, can you explain this to me? You can receive answers. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a great day, a great night. Today I'm going to be going over why I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. A lot of people know us by Mormon or LDS, but we do prefer to go by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So I want to just kind of go over why I'm a member of the church. I was born into it. My parents are a member. My family has been for several generations, but it is still my choice that I am a member, and I want to explain why. So I was born into the church, and kind of what happens in our church is families or couples, when they are married, they're also sealed together for time and for all eternity, so that you can be with your families for now and then after you die. After you're married, you can actually go back and have a sealing, and you can still get married and do all that. So it's not just if you miss it, you can never do that. But it's something you can still go, and that's a big part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's having families be still together, and just to be able to make sure we have those family unions and try to bring families together. Like, that's the whole thing around our church, is having families together and following God. So when I was little, my parents always gave me the choice of I could go to other churches, I could go with other friends to their churches and doing all that, and I always really wanted to do that. Now, I didn't really have any opportunities until I was in high school. I had a friend invite me to her Bible study, and I went to that, and it was really cool to get the perspective, because there was a lot of the same truth. We're reading out of the Bible, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a lot of people say that because we read the Book of Mormon, and that we worship it, and we don't. We like to use the Book of Mormon and the Bible alongside each other, and they make a lot of sense when you use them together, which is really, really cool. But I went to her Bible study, and I was reading through, and they were reading a different version of the Bible. We use the King James version, and I don't know what version she was using, so there was some slight differences, but for a lot of it, we were reading the same thing, and it was really cool to kind of see the similarities. But there just seemed there was something a little missing than when I go to my church, just kind of feeling the spirit. But everyone's experience could be different, so I can't say that was something that everyone would feel, but for me, I just felt like there was something missing when I went to her church. Also, being a member, I have never wanted to just follow everything the church says and just follow it, because then if I ever get tempted, I don't even know if tempted is the right word, but if I feel struggling with something or someone comes at me, I want to be able to say, this is why I want to do this is why I stand for this, and this is why I say this, not because the church says it all. I want to have my testimony of everything, because I want it to be me. I don't want to just be following a church blindly and just following everything they say. So everything I've done, I've tried to do all my research on. If it's doctrine, if it's like a rule, if it's a way of life, I wanted to do that. One thing we do not drink or smoke, and so I don't want to just follow that, but I want to see, why do we do this? And so I've done my research, and I've kind of observed people that do, and just made that decision by myself, because I don't want to just follow. I don't want to just follow something and just to follow. I want to have the reasoning behind it, so it can be me and not for what I stand for, because if I'm just standing with this, it could fall at any point. But if I have a standard for myself and I want to follow that, then it helps me be a stronger person. It helps me be able to defend my beliefs a lot better. Okay, sorry, the battery died, so I had to go get a new one. Hopefully this one lasts longer. So I've done my research, I've done this, I know why I believe things and why I follow them, and if I ever have questions, then I still do the research. I don't know everything, and there's still things I have questions on, so I want to do the research and the work on that as well, and so I don't ever feel like I'm going to stop learning, but I'm continually trying to learn and trying to become better. So I was born into the church, and my parents taught me as much as I could, but there did come a point in my life where they said, you're making your own choices. You can choose what we've taught you, or you can choose something else. And I still remember I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I wanted to go to a birthday party on Sunday. Now, that wasn't necessarily bad, but one thing we try to do in the church, and everyone's a little different, is to follow the Sabbath day. And a lot of that means like not going to the store on Sunday. That could mean not listening to certain music or movies, or just spending time with family. And every member can kind of do it their own little way, and different things they're stricter on, and it's up to them. So I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong, but we're just taught of you follow the Sabbath day, and everyone follows it differently depending on how you feel the best way is to serve that. And one thing is, growing up, is we were just trying to spend more time with family and not playing with friends. And so I went and asked my parents, and I knew that they would say no to going to this birthday party. And I went up and I asked them, and my parents said, no, you can go pray about it. And my little 10-year-old self was like, no, Mom, just tell me no, and I can fight and argue with you on it. And they just said, no, we're not telling you what to do, you go pray about it. And in that time, my parents just let it up to me. They're like, we've taught you everything we can, or a lot of stuff, and you can choose the right, or it's all up to you to choose now. And not necessarily like that was a big life-changing situation, but for me, they knew they taught me enough, and it was now my turn to use that knowledge. And it was such a little thing. If I would have gone to the birthday party, it wouldn't have probably been a big deal. But in that time, there was that lesson of it was my choice and not their choice. And I thought that was such a great thing. I just felt like where I've grown and like learned in the church, it wasn't just one situation, but it's over time. My parents encouraged me from a very young age as well to go and pray. And so one reason I love being around in nature, and I post on a lot of my videos, is just being close to God. And from a young age, I would go into the forest, we were on campouts, or sometimes I would just go into my backyard, and just being away from everyone and just in nature, and being able to pray to God and saying, is this true, is this real, and be able to receive answers to my struggles, that this was what I was supposed to be doing, and that I needed to follow. And so from a very young age, I was able to learn that and see that, and it wasn't something that just stopped. I've continually learned, and I've received answers to my prayers, and I know God's there. And being a member of the church has only helped and amplified that. I'm very close with God. I try to speak with Him and tell Him about my stuff daily, and I've always just received so much peace in that. And just being able to follow Him and follow His commandments and being a part of the church. Through Him and through that, I received so much peace. And especially, I talk about temples, and I post them on Instagram, that I've received so much peace and inspiration from being in the temples. And maybe I'll talk more about this a little bit later, but I received my endowments, which is an ordinance we perform in the temples, and it's kind of a way of receiving more guidance from God. And I received that when I was 19 years old, which is pretty young for someone I never went on a mission for my church, and have not been married. And those are the two big reasons that brothers and sisters usually go to the temples to receive endowments. And I did not, but at a young age, when I was 19, that's when I went through and I received my endowments, and so it was a really cool experience to have that. But that was a big choice for me, and just being able to receive that. There's something that happens in the temple, and the peace and the guidance you receive from God that you don't receive anywhere else. It's really amazing. So there's gonna be a lot of people out there that have walked into different doctrine of church and things that they don't feel like matches with everything. There's things that they question about the church, and I don't know every single thing, but I've tried to do research and done history on a lot of it, just to understand what's going on and why people feel these insecurities about the church. And a lot of it, I can say from what I know, what I've seen, is no one's perfect. No one person in this church is perfect. The only perfect person is Jesus Christ, and everyone has faults. One thing I loved as I was doing I was reading about church history, and I mean love this because it relates to me, is Joseph Smith would sometimes get angry at his siblings, and they would have fights, and they were in public. And I look at my life, and me and my siblings, we still fight. Me and my brother, we still argue and have disagreements. And so to see a prophet, which is someone I look up to, Joseph Smith, like, it was a really amazing man who brought the church back. And we don't worship him, and I don't worship him, but he's still an amazing man. Just seeing that he had these difficulties, he had these struggles, and that just because I have that doesn't make me a horrible person. I can still repent, I can still become better from that. And so there's things like that just say no one's perfect, but there's gonna be things that are brought up and things that may not always make sense, and in those moments that's when you pray to God saying, hey God, like, can you explain this to me? You can receive answers. And that's one beautiful thing I love about this church as well, is anyone can receive inspiration for themselves and their families, which is an amazing thing, that we're not just left here and we're not just say listen to the prophet or our leader, but we receive our own inspiration to know what we need to do in our lives, which I think is an amazing thing. And I know with 100% doubt this church is true, and how beautiful a thing is that we can be with families and we can be sealed for time and all eternity and be with our families after this life is such an amazing thing. And I know the peace and the hope and everything about that. And so if you have any questions, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, anything whatsoever, send me a message on Instagram. I'll try to respond and explain anything to you, or even in the comments below. I love to be able to answer any of your questions, concerns, as best as I can. And if I don't, I will do my research and I will try to find the answers for you. And I just want to say before I end this video that I love all religions in general, and I feel like there's so much truth in all of them and receive inspiration. And so I don't want to say your church is wrong, because I don't know exactly what they're teaching, but I do know from what I've done that I received a lot of peace and truth from my church. And if you have any questions, let me know. But I hope you like this video. If you want more like this, let me know below, and please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Love you.